Welcome to the Superhero Cinephiles podcast. I am half your host, Perry Constantine.
And I'm the other half, Derek Ferguson.
How you doing today, Derek?
I'm doing much better now than I was earlier on in the week. I was telling you, and for you guys at home watching this, you probably know about the big snowstorm we had here in New York, and it affected me in a very adverse way. It knocked out my power. I was without power internet for about 24 hours. Damn nuisance, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Damn nuisance. So but everything is fine, So we're doing good, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Doing pretty well over here. Got my my co-pilot next to me here. She's being pretty calm, so that's good.
We have to start listing her as a co-host.
We are. I mean, I was thinking just before we started, like she's now been a guest on more podcasts than most adults.
Yeah, exactly. She was on the podcast we did. Well, we was
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to start giving her a credit.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But anyway, got some news going around. First, some sad news. Christopher Plummer died.
Yeah.
91 years old.
Matter of fact, after we finish watching this, I've got Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
In the Blu-ray player, I'm going to watch that tonight. And of course, my wife, The Sound of Music, that's her favorite movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think she was watching it yesterday.
You know what? Because I haven't seen that movie since I was like a little kid, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until he died that they're talking about, his roles, and they mentioned Sound of Music. I'm like, oh, wait, yeah, he was in Sound of Music. I just never made that connection because I was so young when I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the movie he'll be remembered for. But for the longest time, he wouldn't talk about that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said he just wouldn't talk about it. But, as he got older and he saw what it meant to people, he kind of embraced it and he said, okay, yeah. And he started talking about it.
I remember Alec Guinness was like that with Star Wars.
Yeah, Alec Guinness, for the longest time he wouldn't. Because he just thought it was a little nothing thing that, nobody would remember.
I remember one story, I think it might have been apocryphal, but he some kid asked him to sign like an Obi-Wan picture or action figure or something, and he said to him, he's like, look, I'll sign this only if you promise to never watch those movies again.
Yeah, it was but again, it's, as a creative person, I have come to understand, and you too as well, and other people that we know, once you create something or once you appear in a movie or a song or something like that, it's out of your hands really, because you don't know how the public is going to react to it. There's stuff that I've written that I said, oh yeah, well, I know people are going to love this, and it's crickets and tumbleweeds. And then there's other stuff that people are constantly asking me about that I said, really? You just never know. But if you can be remembered for that, I guess finally Christopher Plummer said, well, you know something, it's better to be remembered for something than not to be remembered at all.
Exactly, yeah. Although he's got a great body of work to be remembered for anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, perfectly respectable. Matter of fact, if I sit down, it's hard for me to think of a bad movie he was in.
Yeah.
He was very good at picking, his projects and his roles that he was in. I mean, I haven't seen all of his movies, but out of the ones that I've seen, I can't ever really point to it and say, well, you know what, that was a terrible movie,
Right, yeah.
And he was one of those actors that just elevated whatever he was in anyway.
Yes, yeah.
He made it better, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you mentioned, Star Trek 6, like he took that what that movie is it's a much better movie just by his very presence.
Oh yeah, with him going around, strutting around, quoting all the Shakespeare and everything like that, and he gives it a very Shakespearean operatic feel to it.
Right. Yeah.
When he's on the screen, you can't take your eyes off.
I mean, everybody talks about Wrath of Khan, but for my money, I think Undiscovered Country is my favorite of those movies.
Yeah, Undiscovered Country is the movie I'm glad that the original cast went out on. Because previous to that, we had The Final Frontier, and we all know how everybody feels about that. But the Undiscovered Country, if you got to go out, that's the way to go out.
Exactly, yeah. And I got a box set years back of the the original cast movies. So it's, you know, it's
me
one
too.
through 6. And 5 is actually the only one I've never watched, just because everybody's like, it's so terrible. So I've just skipped over 5.
Well, you know what? Okay, here's the thing about 5.
Mm.
If you've seen the original series, to me, The Final Frontier is a lot like the TV show.
Oh,
it really is. It's like a 2-hour episode of. It's the one that feels the most like the TV show. You know, because every once in a while, you know, the original series would throw in like this little comedy episode.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what this is.
Okay.
Pretty much. The one, but I do have my problems with it.
Well, I mean, 4 was a comedy one too, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was actually funny.
Yeah.
It actually,
like, I was surprised when I read the back of it. I'm like, oh God, this sounds terrible. And then I watched it, I'm like, this is actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And you know what? Star Trek always got to have, you know, throw in like a time travel episode.
Yeah. Well, DeForest Kelley, especially in that, was just hilarious.
I love the scene when he's in the hospital.
That's exactly that.
And he's going in there and he's saying, oh my God, what is this, the Stone Age? And he's going around giving out pills and he's curing cancer and growing new kidneys and lungs.
And they talk about chemotherapy. He's like, chemotherapy? What, are you insane?
And he's ranting to Raven and carrying, oh my God. Do you want to kill this patient? You know, and he's killing people with M&Ms.
Yeah.
And then they get to what she just regrew her kidneys. So what? Oh, he's fantastic. Matter of fact, he steals that entire movie.
He does, yeah. That's what I don't remember anything about that movie except for the hospital scenes.
I mean, that's his movie from start to finish. When he goes to Kirk and he says, well, wait a minute, you want to go to the future, get some whales, bring them back, and hope they tell this thing where to go and what to do. So he said, well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But going back to number 5, the only thing I don't like about number 5 is that there is no way that you can convince me that Spock, in all these years he's been with these, especially Kirk and McCoy, who arguably are like brothers to him. Right. You know, I mean, he sacrificed his life for them. In all this time, he never told them that he did have a brother or a half brother. You know, I've never bought that. You know, some people say, "Oh, well, he's Vulcan, and Vulcan keeps secrets."
Well, that's also an old TV show trope, right? When the ratings are down, you bring in a long lost family member.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you bring. You had a brother all this time. You know, I've never. Yeah, but that's one reason I never liked that trope, because I don't think that. Because there's no reason for Spock not to tell him that he died, you know.
Yeah.
Because people say all the time, oh, well, Vulcans can't lie. Well, of course they can. Vulcans lie all the time. The thing is that they need a logical reason to do so. They just don't lie just to be lying. You know. So, yeah, but there was no reason for him not to tell, you know. But anyway, I didn't like it when I first saw it, but over the years, I guess as I mellowed out, and I said, well, you know what? It's not that bad. Now, to full disclosure, it's still not the first Star Trek movie I'll put in when I want to see Star. I'll even watch Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
That one's a slog.
which nobody likes. But see, okay, here's the thing though. I promise folks we're going to get to the movie, which is what we talk about. So I didn't know this was going to turn into a Star Trek discussion. And once I get started on Star Trek, that's it. But let me say this. A lot of people, I will say this. Star Trek, the motion picture, I fully understand what people like yourself who say, well, that's a slog. It is. And I'm not going to lie about that. It is. It is a slog. It's slow. It's ponderous. But you got to put it in context. When it came out back in the 1970s, Trekkies, we all went crazy for it because it was the only thing we had. It was the only Trek we had. Right.
The last thing you guys had was the animated series, and this was before Next Generation came out on TV. So,
right. I mean, I went back to the theaters 3 times to see it, and I knew people went back 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times to see it because that was the only thing that we had. And we were just so happy just to see Star Trek on the big screen.
Well, it's kind of like with superhero movies, right? For the longest, like, you know, people now are looking back, they're like, oh my God, how could you have watched these movies that were terrible? And it's like, well, you know, that's all we had.
That's all we had. We didn't have Wrath of Khan.
Right. So like, but, you know, back in the day, like, you know, Lois and Clark, if I look back on that now, I'm like, this is such a piece of shit. But back then, that was the only thing we had. That was it.
That was the only thing in town. And people say, oh, I don't understand. You can watch it. Mm-hmm. I still watch it today for nostalgia value. Mm-hmm. You know, I like it. However, it would probably the last movie I would give to somebody who, if they didn't know anything about Star Trek and said, where do I start? No, here, watch Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Definitely. Watch that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and if you like that, then go on to, The Voyage Home, mm-hmm. and what's the other one? The Search for Spock.
Yeah, well, Search for Spock, you just only need to watch that to understand why he's alive again in Voyage Home.
Exactly, yeah. But I would always tell someone, no, definitely start with Wrath of Khan. Mm-hmm. Then after you've gone through all the other ones, if you want to go back and see, Star Trek the Motion Picture, then do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's definitely not the movie you want to start off.
Right. Okay. So I got to go on a little bit of a rant here because this came out. Yep. So Zack Snyder, his I don't know if you've heard this, but he's got his cut of Justice League is coming out.
I keep hearing some rumor about some Justice League bullshit.
So there's this guy on Cinema Blend, Sean O'Connell. He's coming out with a book about the Snyder Cut phenomenon, the release the Snyder Cut online thing and everything. And he did an interview with Zack Snyder for it. And he asked Snyder about every time I mention Zack Snyder, she gets upset. Yeah.
Not a coincidence.
Yeah. She said he was asked about the toxicity and the behavior of the Snyder Cut fans online. And he said, I just think that's sour grapes. There's really no other way to say it. We know the people who are architects of that narrative, and it's pretty obvious what their agenda is. Those are people that I've been held back from confronting by wiser people in the room because I'd love to get at some of these characters. Some direct conversation would be nice just to say, one, you don't know shit about what you're talking about, and we can break down everything they've ever said. I can make a list. There's a few of these guys, I could just get a list of everything they've ever said and they thought was right, and I could tell them every single thing they said was wrong. And so in what world do you have any credibility anywhere to anyone? I would love the opportunity to just say to the world and to fandom in general who these fakers are and what should be done to them or with them. It's just a bunch of BS. In regards to that toxic fandom, or it's a win for toxic fandom, again, in what world does this toxic fandom raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for suicide prevention? How is that toxic? They probably achieved more than any other fan base and done more good than any other group. So I don't understand. And of course, Sean O'Connell, who's, Zack Snyder's chief fluffer over at Cinema Blend, was echoing. He's like, oh yeah, I've never seen any toxicity in the Snyder Cut fandom. And I'm just sitting there, I'm reading this. I'm like, are you both fucking stoned? I mean, because we talked about this back when the Snyder Cut was announced. Like, this is a problem because the people online, they were being, ever since Batman v Superman came out, like they were alleging conspiracies by Disney and Rotten Tomatoes to bring down the score so that Disney doesn't give a shit what kind of numbers Batman v Superman does.
Why? They got movies that is tons of money. They don't care what you do.
Yeah. And just like all this, and I've personally seen the harassment firsthand. And I went back and I've seen there are lots of articles out there documenting all the abusive tweets and threatening emails. I mean, Jesus Christ. They even went after, and it's not just people online, they went after people like Patty Jenkins, Jeff Johns, anyone who had the slightest bit of criticism of any of Snyder's movies got dogpiled on. In fact, Gal Gadot mentioned in the Patty Jenkins thing, they were doing press for, I think it was Wonder Woman 84, and they were asked about the Snyder Cut, and Gal Gadot said, well, I haven't seen it, and Patty Jenkins said, nobody's seen it. And everybody, the Snyder cult went fucking batshit over that.
And I'm glad you said that, the cult, because it is, they demonstrate cultish behavior. They really do. I mean, just the notion that they built up in their mind that there is this massive conspiracy in the entertainment world for people not to see the Snyder Cut, which in their mind, that's what it was. It was a vast conspiracy to keep them from seeing this movie. In what universe do you think you're that important that people don't want you to see a superhero movie?
And one of the things we talked about too back then is we said rewarding this is going to lead to more bad behavior. They're not going to be satisfied because already you're seeing now they're tweeting out restore the Snyderverse. Yeah, I know. We're almost done talking about Zack Snyder. It's okay. But because they're not going to stop. It's never going to be enough.
No, exactly. It's never. And you know what? Why should they say, okay, well, we got this by acting like assholes.
Exactly.
Well, let's see what else we can get.
Right.
You know,
right.
There is no reason for them to stop. And now you've got all these other directors now. They're saying, oh, well, you know what? I got a director's cut of this and I got a director's cut of that. And you know what? Save it for the Blu-ray, I mean, not everybody wants to see a director's cut of every single movie that's ever been made. I mean, I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm all for director's cuts. I think they're great. But when you're, and even back then, before all this stuff started, I said, okay, if there's a Snyder cut, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think it'll be terrible, but it'd be interesting to see. I'm not going to, but the toxicity that came out of the fandom is just really what I've got a problem with.
Yeah, true. And to clarify the point, because I've had discussions on Facebook and the email with some people who have accused me of hypocrisy because, they say, oh, you complain about it all the time, but you're going to watch it. I've always said I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, we've always said we're going to watch it.
We've always said we're going to watch it. However, that does not prevent me from having an opinion about the asshole behaviors of the cultists who threaten people's lives over a damn movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
If you don't see the difference between that, then then we have nothing to talk about. Quite
also,
frankly.
And I mean, I saw one tweet that was so reprehensible. It said this guy had accused Disney of having a role in the death of Snyder's daughter. Like they had somehow influenced her to commit suicide to stop him from making Justice League.
Wow.
Yeah.
You see what I'm?
And that's the kind of shit we're talking about. So if you say that stuff doesn't exist, I mean, it's all right there. It's those tweets are still on. There have been a lot of these people have been, kicked off of Twitter, which, as we've seen over the past 4 years, is not easy to do.
No, it's not. But yeah, I mean,
and also like him saying, I would love to say, I would just love to say who these fakers are and what should be done to them or with them. I mean, that's dangerous talk he's doing there. That's just, that's flat out incitement right there.
Yeah. It's, and I had a bunch of sympathy for, Snyder. And I always said that, that any problems with Justice League came about the fact that the man suffered a personal family tragedy,
right?
And somebody stepped in to finish the movie. It wasn't like the movie was taken from him. It was, which is how these people act. They act like somehow his creative vision was stifled and it was torn from him and he was done wrong. No, he wasn't done wrong. He had to take time off to heal. That's what he had to do, and a corporate decision, which for all you people out there who think that they make these superhero movies because they love to make them. No, they make them because they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Period. Bottom line. So a corporate decision, not a creative one, a corporate decision was made. Let's get another director and finish the movie. And bottom line, that's all that happened. There's no vast conspiracy to try to stifle Zack Snyder's grandiose vision for the DC universe, whatever that is this week. Because it changes.
It keeps changing, yeah.
The vision changes. So we don't know. We sometimes I doubt even Zack Snyder knows.
Well, speaking of, so yeah, that's pretty much all we got to say about that.
Just like
It's
Honey,
okay. We're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done.
I promise, sweetie. I'm sorry. Uncle Derek will stop now.
All right. But anyway, on to better news is because we had because of your internet issues, we couldn't record on our usual dates. That means I got to watch 2 episodes of WandaVision to talk about this week, which, oh my God, the best 2 episodes so far, episodes 4 and 5.
You know what? It's not easy to surprise me anymore, but episode 5,
yeah, I
sat there. I had to rewind the thing twice to make sure I saw what I saw.
Yeah,
because when I first, I said, "Holy!" And again, Patricia was upset. She said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah. I'm just watching something on TV. I just lost my shit for a minute. I'm sorry." But episodes 4 and 5. This is for the people. These 2 episodes were for the people who kept complaining that the show was too slow.
And I couldn't understand those complaints because you're seeing the hints of everything. It's all building up, and then boom, it hits this point here. It's been a really amazing way that they've executed it so far.
Oh, this is some of the best storytelling I've seen in a TV show in a long time. First of all, I love the fact that because it's half-hour episodes, it's story. It's no fact. We are getting, it's story. And there's an amazing amount of characterization that's being done simply because they don't have any room for. Okay, let me put it this way. As much as I love Luke Cage, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones, can we agree that they were like, out of each one of them, you could have cut out 2, 3, maybe even 4 episodes.
Absolutely, yes.
And not lost a thing.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of fat in those shows. Much as I loved them, there was a hell of a lot of fat. Especially Luke Cage season 2. That nearly killed the thing. Because there was so much fat in season 2.
Yeah.
And let's not even get started with Iron Fist. But
Iron Fist at least learned their lesson because the season 2 of Iron Fist, they cut the episodes down. They cut out 3 episodes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. With this, there is no bloat. There is no fat. We're getting the story and they're telling it the way they want to tell it. And thank God that they are, because without the buildup that we had in the first couple of episodes, the revelations we got in 4 and 5 wouldn't have been as mind-blowing. I mean, to me, they blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Kat Dennings, give her a Marvel TV show right now.
People have been saying that they should get Kat Dennings and Randall Park. They should give them like a X-Files-esque show set in the Marvel universe.
I just posted something in Superhero Cinephiles where what's his name? Randall Park, the guy that plays Jimmy Woo.
Yeah.
He says he has a meeting with Disney Plus. They want to see a proposal.
Oh, that would
be amazing. They want him to pitch. Yeah, they want him to come in and pitch a Jimmy Woo X-Files type series.
Yeah, him and Darcy, that would be unbelievable.
One of my favorite scenes in episode 4, they're both sitting there eating popcorn and snacks, and they're watching the TV show, and they're into the show now. They're discussing it like the same way we are. And that just cracked me up. So I just love that so much.
Oh, and when she meets Monica, she's like, I am a big fan.
Yeah.
From watching her on the TV show.
I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that she got a doctorate now.
Yes, that was another thing else too. I love that.
Yeah, but
it surprised me first. Then I did the math. I'm like, well, actually, that does make sense because last time we saw her was in The Dark World, which was what 2013, 2014, something like that. So yeah, totally enough time for her to get a doctorate.
And that's why she was working with Jane Foster. She was working towards her doctorate.
Well, she was originally working for political science.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because that was the joke in the first Thor movie when Selvig says, "I thought you're a science major." She says political science. Then Jane says she was the only applicant for the interim position.
Oh, okay. So she kind of just fell backwards into it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But Kat Dennings she was like a refreshing breath of fresh. She just came in and is just her style. It's like, nothing phases her.
Yes, yeah.
She was bothered more by the fact she couldn't get a cup of coffee than all the other weirdness. She's seen weirdness, doesn't faze her, and Randall Park and Jimmy Woo, they just clicked together so well. I could easily see them carrying a TV show by themselves. You know.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely. And Teyonah Parris is Monica. Oh my God, she's amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing her come, that right there was just a mind blower to me when she came back after the snap.
That was such a good way to work that in too, and like it took me a minute to realize what was going on.
Yeah,
and but because they say she wakes up and they're like your mom died 3 years ago or something, and then you disappeared 5 years, and it's like whoa, and then I realized oh my God, she was blipped.
Yeah. I said it's well, you know why? Because I see in this they did a different effect because we were used to seeing the people turn into sand.
Mm-hmm, right.
They didn't do that in this one. They were kind of like you saw all the meat coming back, and
the opposite. Yeah,
you're right. It was a different thing. So yeah, it took me a while to figure out. I said, well, what's going on here? And then I was putting together. I said, oh, okay, And then in my head, I'm trying to piece where this goes into now, into the whole Lex. I said, okay. And like you said, when she says, oh, yo, when you disappeared 5 years ago, I said, oh,
yeah.
I mean, pretty much that's what I was saying through through episode 4 and 5. I was just going, oh.
And you notice the little thing when she mentions when Jimmy mentions Captain Marvel, like the look how Monica acts kind of derisive about it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe it's because she blames her in some way for what happened. Like you weren't here, you left, you abandoned us, basically, type of thing.
Now, let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that because when she comes back and her and the director, they're walking through, the facility and he's bringing her up to speed, everything like that, and the director makes a reference that they've still got missing astronauts out there. Do you think that was just a casual throwaway thing, or do you think that was a reference to the Fantastic Four? Because that's what I'm hearing from some people, think that that's a reference to the Fantastic Four.
Well, there's that could be, but there's another one too when she mentions the aerospace engineer.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are suspecting that might be Reed Richards.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. That didn't occur to me, but now I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I do know that.
Well, also the cosmic background radiation thing, that too, that Darcy mentioned. That's another thing that a lot of people are theorizing. I think it was Kevin Smith mentioned that could be something that it brings in the Fantastic Four as well. Because
as you and I have discussed before, it's long been my theory that WandaVision, Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and the next Spider-Man movie is all going to be interconnected, and it's all going to bring in the Fantastic Four, Deadpool, and the X-Men. That's my thing. That is going to rejigger, the MCU.
Absolutely.
That's what Phase 4 is going to be. Yeah. So what I've been doing is I watch these episodes, and then I will go back and I'm looking, because there's clues planted all throughout this thing. And I think that there's a lot of clues that we haven't seen yet. That's even going to further, and especially the way episode 5 ended.
Yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute. I mean, you can't be in any more in your face than that.
Yeah. And that ending at episode 5, because there was rumors about this, right? There had been rumors that there was turning up, and the way it happened, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If you haven't watched episode 5, you might want to skip ahead about like 10 minutes. Because I don't want anyone, bitching that we spoiled something that they want to be surprised by. But anyway, when the door opens and you see from behind, he had like the same hairstyle as Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm like,
yeah.
And then it reveals it's Evan Peters. And I'm just like, holy shit.
That was a good fake out, because that's the same thing I thought at first. Because if you look at, and matter of fact, he even looks like he's wearing the same clothes.
Exactly. Yeah.
That he wore in Age of Ultron. To say, I said, oh shit. I said that, and then of course when they turn the camera around and you see it's another. Oh shit! wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Now, I'm hoping, because I know the big theory that a lot of people have is this is how they're going to bring mutants in, is that they're going to have the multiverse mutants, so the Fox mutants are going to come into the Marvel universe. I hope that's not how it's going to be done, because I think that's a really lazy way to introduce mutants. But I hope this is just, Evan Peters popping over because of, Wanda's powers are now affecting the multiverse itself.
Right. See, that's what I think it is. I think that her powers are affecting the multiverse.
Yeah.
And what it is that that's why she's going to show up in Doctor Strange.
Right.
But with help with all this, because or somebody, Jimmy Woo probably is going to say, well, listen, you need to go see.
Or maybe she's even going to be the villain in Doctor Strange, because now, because when she came out, because now we know that she knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And remember how people were complaining the fact that she doesn't use her accent, and then she walks out and confronts the sword agents, and she starts using her accent.
Right. So she knows. Right. So she knows what she's doing. She's, But how about the revelation that, because up until then, now I was hoping that the Vision was alive, but I just figured that it was some kind of projection that she had. But how about the revelation that she did actually bring him back to life?
Yeah, and she's reanimating his dead body essentially, right? That scene in episode 4 when it shows him with the hole in his head and the dead, like that was so freaking creepy.
Yeah,
that was amazingly well done.
Because there's even a little bit where Jimmy and Darcy, they're asking each other, wait a minute, but how is he back to life without the Soul Stone?
Right, the Mind Stone.
Yeah, the Mind Stone. They said, I don't understand how does that work?
Yeah, this is, and it has a lot of really how this is all coming together. Well, and that it's going to be interesting to see what happens after this too. Like, is the Vision going to stay alive after this is over?
And even Agnes, you see, Agnes is kind of freaked out, and we don't usually see Agnes get freaked out when the kids tell her that, oh yeah, well, mommy can bring back the dead, and they kind of. And even Agnes looked like she's kind of freaked out. Like she's like, whoa, really?
Well, there's another, because remember our theory is that she's actually Agatha Harkness.
Right.
She was actually asked that. Catherine Hahn was asked that on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel or one of those shows. So she was asked if she was Agatha Harkness, and she would not answer.
Oh, okay.
She just kind of like smiled, and she kept sipping her drink.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I like Catherine. I love her 80s hair.
Yeah. Well, I just love that whole 80s thing in general. Like, because you were talking about the first 2 episodes, they were like the sitcoms you grew up with.
Right.
Episode 5, that was like the sitcoms I grew up with, right? It was like Family Ties and all that, and Growing Pains. Yeah. And just like the age up, like the baby Vision pictures killed me.
Oh man, you know what? I watched it. I had to pause it and go because I was going to pee on myself. That was hilarious. I mean, and they get the tone of the various sitcoms and their intros and theme songs so well. They have actually done their homework. But yeah, like you said, it's good that they started out like, the 50s, with the Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Then they went to the Brady Bunch in the 70s, and now it's the 80s. And Family Ties. So it's really, they're doing it really well. I thought they were going to go Full House myself.
Well, that was a 90s show. That might be next week.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what? It would be because, her sisters are the Olsen twins. Right? Yeah. They were on Full House.
Yeah.
So it would be really funny because they don't act anymore. I don't know. They're not acting anymore, but it would be really funny if they turned. Point taken.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Did they ever really act?
But it would be really kind of funny if they turned up in the next episode.
I would like to see that myself. I really would. It would really be a gas for them, to show.
Or at least bring in Bob Saget, because Bob Saget's always great.
Yo, he's always a hoot. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is he's such have you ever seen his stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
That guy is just like
Bob.
That guy would make George Carlin blush.
It never failed. No, who else was like that? You remember Buddy Hackett?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they said Buddy Hackett had the filthiest stand-up act in Las Vegas, which would always surprise me because, when you saw him on TV, he was always like this goofy fat guy, stuff like that.
Right.
But nah, they said that, they said people would line up to see his stand-up. You know, that's how filthy he was. I said, really? And they said the same thing about Bob Saget. They said, this guy's got one of the filthiest stand-ups that you ever want to see.
Yeah. Oh God, I saw one of his specials. It was hilarious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not only filthy, but it's actually really funny too.
Yeah, but
and it's so uncomfortably funny. Like you're laughing at these jokes, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm terrible for laughing at this."
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, it's the type of humor that you're laughing, and you're not sure you should be laughing.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
It's funny. What are you supposed to do? It's funny.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll be sitting and watching something, and Patricia will say, "How can you laugh at that? It's funny. What do you want me to do?"
Yeah.
You know? I can't pretend it's not funny.
Anyway, so WandaVision, I cannot wait for the next episode, and I'm even more psyched because just one last piece of news before we jump in is that they announced that Don Cheadle let slip that Rhodey's going to be appearing in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and now I've got a theory developing about this, right? Because in the show, Sam has the shield, but he hasn't become Captain America. He hasn't accepted that responsibility. And then you've got John Walker involved in it. They've said that they're going to have Isaiah Bradley, the World War II Black Captain America, right? So I think a big thing behind the show is going to be that the storyline from The Truth, Red, White, and Black, where they revealed that after they created Steve Rogers, after they were able to give him the super soldier serum, they were trying to recreate it, and in their test, they were testing it on Black GIs.
Yeah,
and it was just like all these, and the only successful one was Isaiah Bradley. So I think that may play into, because if you notice in the trailer, Sam says like that shield has something about it behind it or something like that. And I think it might
Excalibur.
Yeah. Well, I think that, but I think it also has a double meaning if he found out about this thing with the Truth. So I think and now we got that Don Cheadle's going to be in it too, being a black guy in the military as well, who's still active in the military, unlike Sam, who's left, which, like we talked about when we talked about Civil War, that the way that the different points of view they both have.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes in Civil War, and I always point that out to people that, first of all, you got two black superheroes in the same movie. And they're both military men, but yet they have different points of view.
Right, yeah.
And how things, and I think that was really, that was an excellent way to show that, they're black men in the military, but they're not the same guy.
Right, yeah.
They both had their own points of view of how things should be done, and, their role in the Avengers and in the military and all that kind of thing. And whoever, I don't remember who wrote that scene, but whoever did, I hope that they gave him a raise and lots of stars. Because that's one of my favorite scenes. That was
a great scene,
yeah.
And so I'm all here for more. Well, I think it seems like Rhodey's gonna be playing a much bigger role, because he's gonna appear in Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's gonna be the central character in the Armor Wars series. I think he's going to play a role in Ironheart as well. So Rhodey's, he's getting around a lot more now.
I think, one thing that I really like, and I know a lot of people bitched and moaned and whined when, Disney is hogging everything. Disney is doing this. Disney is doing that. I think that Disney has proven that, first of all, by bringing all of the Marvel properties, because there was a lot of complaint when the Netflix series, was canceled.
Right.
I said, well, you knew that was going to happen. I think that they're going to revive those series at Disney, and by bringing everything under one umbrella. I think just from WandaVision, they have a plan for where they're going to go and what they're going to do. If we would just sit back and just trust them and see where it's going. Because it's going to take time to get there, just like it took us time with the whole, what they call it.
Sorry, all right, I got it. Okay, so we were talking about Armor Wars and Don Cheadle.
Yeah, and I was just saying that, a lot of people complain about, Disney is hogging everything and doing this and doing that, but it seems to me that Disney is also taking the right course in that they're just letting the creative people do what they do.
Right.
And they're just like saying, okay, you know what? Here's a ton of money. Just go ahead and be creative. Yeah. And, you know, they're not interfering with them and they're letting them, you know, which to me is the way to go. We got something like this. And as
well, that said, they do have, but they have a strong guiding hand with Kevin Feige, right? So like they're not interfering, but they're guiding in a way that's really working out well.
Exactly. And you've got one guy now that's guiding everything, whereas before where we had the kerfluffle with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Inhumans because that was one thing and Netflix was another and this, you know. Right. So, I mean, having everything all and now that they're bringing all the other properties in there because they've already announced they're definitely going to do another Deadpool.
Right, yeah.
You know, and it's going to be R-rated.
Yes, yeah. It's going to be R-rated Deadpool. Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil in the third Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see how things shape up going forward. Now that they've got those rights back, like, because obviously they're not going to have those shows back on Netflix, and they're obviously not going to be on Disney Plus, but I think we'll probably see that kind of stuff appearing on Hulu. Like we did with Hellstrom.
Yeah, I think that if we ever see Luke Cage and Daredevil, Jessica Jones again, I think it's more likely that they're probably going to try to get those actors back and say, listen, do you want to come back and, you know, do this? And we'll just rejigger the shows and we'll just, you know, start from day one, basically. You know,
I don't even think they'd have to start from day one because all that stuff would fit pretty seamlessly in. But one thing I would hope they do, and I got two dream projects that I hope would come out of this. One, Daughters of the Dragon. Like Misty Knight and Colleen Wing. Like those two actresses were the best, like some of the best parts of those shows. So give them their own show. And two, I want to see a Heroes for Hire TV show. I want to see Power Man and Iron Fist.
Okay.
And Finn Jones, like I know he got a lot of shit for the first season of Iron Fist. A lot of it deserved. But there was that episode he was in Luke Cage where he was pitch perfect. And I think if you get more of that type of Iron Fist that he was in, you know, season 2 of Luke Cage and pair him up with Mike Coulter, I think it would be a really awesome series.
Yeah. Well, as I said before, I don't blame him for Iron Fist. I don't. I mean, the guy's a working actor. He needed a job. He went in and he got the job.
Yeah.
To me, again, if you're going to do a TV series where your main character is a master martial artist, then you hire a master martial artist to play the role. And you teach him that. Because it's easier to do that than to get an actor and then teach him martial. And then here's what kills me. They surrounded him with martial artists who you can see was definitely, you could see they were holding back. Not to make this guy look bad. Because, you know, I mean, really, there was, it didn't make any sense. If I was running things, I would have fired that casting director. I said, what were you thinking of? Why didn't you just say, listen, bring in half a dozen martial artists and let me look at them?
Yeah.
And see which one out of them can act the best and we'll work with him. We'll get him acting coach or whatever like that. But I need a guy that can do martial arts.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
Anyway, so we're continuing this week's episode with our spotlight on Black superhero movies. And with that in mind, I just want to let people know that Comixology is having a big Black History Month sale. So they've got like all of the Black Panther stuff is up there. It's on sale. The Miles Morales stuff is up there for sale. DC's got a Black History Month sale. There's a bunch of like independent stuff. Valiant's got a whole BIPOC sale going on. So a lot of really good stuff here. If you want to read more about Black superheroes or Black comics in general, like there's a lot of really good stuff that's up there on Comixology. A lot of independent stuff as well too.
I just gave my wife my credit card. I said, don't give it back to me until morning. I did. I said, don't. She said, what's the matter? I said, don't ask. Just hold on.
Yeah. I just completed I've now got pretty much the complete set of the Black Panther comics. I just finished up Ta-Nehisi Coates' run, and I just picked up the Reginald Hudlin stuff, which I'd never read before. And I'd heard mixed things about it, but I decided I'd give it a chance.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because the price was right. So,
well, again, see, that's the thing. See, as I've said many times, their pricing is ridiculous. You feel you know, you feel like you're crazy if you don't buy it.
Yeah, yeah.
You say to yourself, you know, well, look at that price, you know.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was total $50, and it was the last 3 trades in the coat series that I didn't have yet, plus like all the Hudlin stuff.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, so it's like, well, I mean, that's going to keep me busy for, you know, a good few days, maybe like a month or so at least.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that a lot of really, and you know, and I love the coat stuff, and it'll be interesting to see about the Hudlin stuff, to kind of go back and see, like some, like the introduction of Shuri in the comics, which I'd never known, because I only really know her from the movie basically.
Yeah, well, which is why I think most people are going back and they're getting those issues now.
Yeah, yeah.
More familiar with her, you know, with her. Because
Right.
I know people was telling me, they said, and I said, well, you know, the Black Panther, when he was originally created, he didn't have a sister. She came later on, and people soon say, "Oh, really? What?" And then they want to know more. They want to know where the character came from, and you know. Now,
also on the, because we mentioned, you posted an article about Christopher Priest the other day.
Yeah.
So his whole Black Panther run is up on there, and also I found out, I was checking, because that article mentioned something that I forgot that he did for Valiant back when Valiant was Acclaim, called Quantum and Woody.
Quantum and Woody, yeah.
Which is up there on sale. They got the complete collection of the original series, as well as the Q2, the Return series that he and MD Bright did a few years back.
And I wonder what happened, because Quantum and Woody has been optioned for like years for either movies or TV series, and you know, I did hear at one time it was, but then you hear everything. It's supposed to be on Netflix at one time, and you know, I wonder, because that would make a good TV series.
That would make an amazing TV series.
For Netflix or for Amazon. Yeah, probably more on Amazon, because I see now, you know, they seem to be taking a little bit more chances with their superhero stuff, like with the Boys,
right,
and with the Tick, you know, which didn't last too long, but you know. But they seem to be going for a little bit more, not the traditional type of superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And they have this animated one now. What is it? You know, the Robert Kirkman.
Oh, Invincible,
yeah. So they seem to be going for the non-traditional superhero stuff. So that's why I think Quantum and Woody would probably be a better fit there.
Yeah, that would definitely be. I'd be totally up for that. I mean, and I haven't read those issues in years, so
neither have I.
So I'm going back and I'm picking up and I was checking today when I saw the Valiant thing. I wonder if Quantum and Woody's in there. So I checked, and it's in there. So I'm, you know, I got both those in my shopping cart and pick those up once we finish up here. All right.
So, Comixology, if you want to throw us some free swag for.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. We keep plugging you guys nonstop. So.
I mean.
And you know, me, like, I'm putting your kids through college as opposed to my own. So.
Yeah, right. You know.
All right. So, but the Netflix thing is a good transition, because today's movie is a movie that was made for Netflix, and that's Project Power, starring Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah. Now, superhero movie came out last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you saw this before. Like, I had just seen it just for this episode, but you had seen it before, I believe, right?
Yeah. I saw it, and I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't even heard about it. My wife, because she's a Jamie Foxx fan, you know, and let me say it's about Jamie Foxx first. Let me get this out the way so people. It's not, I don't like Jamie Foxx. I do. I actually like. I mean, he was brilliant in Ray, and I've seen plenty of movies like Collateral. You know, I love them in that and everything like that.
Django Unchained.
Yeah, Django, which is probably, if you ask me what's my favorite thing that stars Jamie Foxx, that's it. Right.
Same here.
You know? Now, having said that, I went to see Django Unchained more for that it was a Quentin Tarantino movie than because Jamie, but he could have had anybody starring in it, and I would have went to see it. You know, Little Richard was starring in Django Unchained. I don't went to see it. It's not that I don't like him, but it's just that Jamie Foxx is not the type of actor that when I automatically hear he's in something, I say, oh well, I got to see it.
Right.
You know, that's all it is. He's a good actor. I like him as an actor. I'm good. It's just that he just doesn't have that kind of excitement.
He's not someone you will go out of your way to watch a movie with.
No.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah.
I mean, I will not go to the movie. Denzel Washington, yeah, I'm going to burn up gas to go to the movie theater and see Denzel Washington.
I sat through the little things just because Denzel Washington was in that, and it was 2 hours I wish I had back.
You know what? I'm hearing a lot about that too. You know, me and Patricia we were supposed to watch that because I think it dropped like last week.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen it yet because I think that, you know, because we've been hearing that, well, it's not all that, you know. I think that Denzel Washington is still trying to make up for the mistake of not taking the Brad Pitt role in Seven.
Yeah, then that's definitely what it feels. It's Seven, but it's Seven if it's boring and has a nonsensical ending.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the warning.
Yeah, and you've got what's his name? Jared Leto is pretty good. Like, this is what frustrates me about watching this movie with Jared Leto, and it's like I'm watching him and he's doing this really good job playing like this, you know, this creepy, you know, possibly a serial killer type of guy. But you know what, and I'm watching this, I'm thinking back to Suicide Squad, and I'm like, why couldn't you have played the Joker more like this instead of whatever the hell that was? But anyway. Project Power, Jamie Foxx. Now, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in this too. Now, he's someone who I'm more prone to say, like, okay, I'll give that a chance because of Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Well, okay, if it was just Jamie Foxx, I probably would have held off even longer seeing it until I would say, well, you know what, I got nothing else to watch. Let me watch this. But knowing Jason Gordon-Levitt, you know, I just wanted to see the two of them together because when I heard they was in the movie, I said, well, they're both pretty good separately. Together, they should be pretty good. And they actually were very good together in this movie. They will work together extremely well in this movie. The one thing that I really liked about this movie in that we have a completely fresh take here on how to acquire superpowers. It's not like people getting superpowers through radiation or magic or, you know, some other kind of it really is a novel new way of acquiring superpowers.
Well, just one correction, because they did do this in the comic. It's a novel way in movies, but in the comic books, I think it was Brian Bendis's Alias series, which introduced Jessica Jones. He introduced a street drug in that series called mutant growth hormone, MGH. And also Grant Morrison in his X-Men run, he had something similar too, where it was called I believe it was called Kick, was the name of a drug that like boosted mutant powers. And then Bendis took it a step further where you take this drug, mutant growth hormone, it gives you superpowers for a temporary period.
Okay. Oh, but when I say different and new, because of course, plenty of times we've seen where people, you know, take, I mean, the one Batman's enemy,
Bane. Yeah.
You know, he takes a drug that gives him super. I mean, we've seen all of this, but having these various powers based on the natural abilities of animals.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And fish. Yeah, that's something, because the power that Jamie Foxx has, that's a real animal.
Yeah.
Because, of course, after I watched the movie, I said, you know what, I got to look this shit up because this can't be real. And apparently for like the next 2 days, that was the #1 search on Google.
Pistol shrimp?
This little shrimp that, apparently is extremely deadly animal. You know, so that's what I mean when I said that it's a novel.
I see.
You know, way. It's a novel way of having people acquire superpowers.
Yeah. It's more of, it's not so much, you know, using, because, you know, genetics and superpower, like genetics is like the new way, has replaced radiation as like the default way to give someone superpowers. But you're right. It's more of like the transhumanism type stuff, like the gene splicing thing with animals that you don't, than it is, you know, like we usually see in superhero movies or comic books where it's just like unspecified genetic tampering.
Right. Like you said, like back in the 60s and 70s, the big thing was radiation. Everybody was getting their superpower from it. And then Stan Lee, which is why the main thing I like about the X-Men is that Stan Lee said, well, you know something, I'm getting tired of coming up with a reason why people get super. Shit, they were just born with it.
You can tell that was when Stanley was getting kind of he was getting kind of he was digging the bottom of the barrel as far as superhero origin stories were concerned.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that was brilliant because now you can give them any kind of superpower you want. Well, no matter how improbable, just let's go on with it. That was it, and just go from there. You don't have to sit around there. So whoever thought this up, they actually sat down and did their research.
Yes, yeah.
And came up with the plausible, and I was impressed. I was saying, wow, that is clever.
Something else that impressed me about the superpowers too is because you usually see like Human Torch, right? He's immune to his own powers.
Yeah.
But you don't see that here, right? These people are not immune to the effect. Their bodies are still human. They're not immune to the effects their powers cause. So you've got Newt when he's, flaming on and he's literally burning himself as he does it.
Right.
Like that was really well.
And he takes an overdose.
Yeah.
As well, the effects will happen when people take an overdose of this stuff. Because in the course of the movie, the problem, for those of you who haven't seen it, basically the plot is that there are people running through New Orleans carrying on cranky because of this drug called power.
Yes.
This capsule, you break the capsule and you swallow it, and it gives you a superpower for a couple of hours.
5 minutes.
For 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay, so for 5 minutes, you have a superpower. The catch is you don't know what superpower you're gonna have.
Yeah.
Oh, you only hope it's something that will enable you to say, okay, you're invisible for 5 minutes. Okay, you can run into a bank and grab as much cash as you can. Of course, the problem is that you're invisible, but the money that you're carrying in the bags is not invisible.
Right.
Again, this is the monkey's paw. It's a catch to it, This isn't like you swallow it and you're going to be able to fly.
Right.
5 minutes.
Well, yeah, there's a one scene right at the beginning we're introduced to Robin where the guy asks her, he's like, he says, he's like, I want to climb up that wall. And she's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
And now I think I could be wrong, but my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think like you get the same powers every time. It's just the first time you don't know what those powers are going to be because it's dependent on your own genetic makeup. Because Jamie Foxx has the same, those are the powers he's had before.
Right. Because I think Jason Gordon-Levitt, he has a vulnerability.
Something like that. Yeah. He gets like some sort of like lizard-like armor or something.
Right, yeah. So when you swallow the pill, you get the same super. It's not like every time you swallow it, you're going to get a different superpower.
Right, exactly.
Based on your own genetics and how it interacts with the genetic code that's in the pill, okay, this is what it unlocks on you. Because I know they go back to the whole thing where they talk about, when we're in embryo, we go through a lizard stage and we go through a bird stage and we go through this stage and we go, and our DNA is very similar to that of animals. And that's what this pill reacts to and works with when you're going on there. So after you swallow it and you know what your power is, then that's the same one you have all the time. Yeah.
And so what did you think of this movie overall?
Overall, I thought it was pretty good. You know what? It's a B movie with it's a B movie with A special effects.
And A-list talent too, because you've got Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, but this is very much a B movie. And what I liked about it is that they know it's a B movie. They know that this thing ain't going to win no Academy Awards. They know there's not a Golden Globe thing. Right. But again, as I've said many times, it's not made for that. It's made to be a Saturday afternoon superhero movie that you just sit back and you just say, okay, well, I'm going to kick back and have fun for 2 hours. And that's it. And that's all you're supposed to do with it. And I had fun watching it. Because,
one thing that really impressed me, though. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. You go.
I was going to say one of the things that really impressed me was Dominique Fishback as Robin. Like she like this is interesting because you see the trailer, you see it come up on Netflix. You think Jamie Foxx or Joseph Gordon-Levitt are going to be the main character, or it's going to be like a buddy movie between the two of them or something like that. But it's really not. Robin's really the main character in this.
Yeah. She's actually the main character. And it's most fitting that at the end of the movie, she's the last one we see and we hear her music finally when she does the rap, Right. Yeah. It's very, I'm glad you picked up on that because when I saw it for the second time, I said, okay, this was really her movie.
Yeah.
And actually her father is played by Jamie Foxx, and the cop who's her buddy, who's more like her partner, you know, they're like her sidekicks.
Yes, yeah. Which is all the more funny that she's named Robin.
Robin. I don't think that was an accident.
Oh, no, that was because she makes a Batman and Robin joke at one point too.
Yeah, especially when you remember that Jason Gordon-Levitt was in the Batman movie.
That's right. He was basically Robin in Dark Knight Rises.
Right. So in this movie, he's Robin.
Yeah. But also, that was a nice thing you mentioned about because that scene at the end, that's a mid-credit scene. So it usually in these superhero movies, the mid-credit scene is some tease about what the heroes are going to be doing next. So in this case, we get her working on her rap music.
Yeah.
Which was a little clever way of switching up that trope a little bit, showing that she was the real hero of this movie.
She's the real hero of the movie. It's a fake out, kind of like the one, of course, everybody knows by now. But yes, folks, I was brilliant enough that when I saw the movie in the theaters, I got it. That in Big Trouble in Little China, Kurt Russell is actually not the hero. He's the sidekick.
Right. Yeah. He's the bumbling sidekick, in fact.
Yeah, he's the bumbling sidekick. Yeah, because, he's not the hero. Now, when I first saw that movie, I said, okay, I see what they're doing. And in this one, it's actually her story. Because, again, she's the first character that we meet.
Yes.
When she's, pulling off the drug deal, and her sidekick has to come and, he comes and saves her. He provides her with transportation, and the whole movie, the thrust of the movie is that Jamie Foxx, who actually has been working on this project, he's looking for her because the bad guys are looking for her because he's got a unique genetic code. Because apparently he's the only one that ever got the power of the shrimp.
And his daughter, what was her name? Look it up. Tracy. His daughter, she inherited his genetic code, and now she naturally has powers, and she doesn't lose them. She doesn't need a pill. She naturally has this ability to heal people.
Right.
So now this defense contractor, Telios, is experimenting on her to try to figure out how they can replicate that.
Well, because in these movies, you always have to have a sinister government agency that wants to use this for their own, gain. And in the meantime, they're just randomly giving out the drug, because we see at the beginning, like any good drug dealer, they're just giving this shit out for free.
Right.
The people, basically, they're experimenting on them and monitoring them and seeing what they do and how they can do it. And say, okay, well, we can use this, and this will work. No, that shit ain't gonna work. Okay, but in the meantime, people are dying.
Yeah.
Because you got all of these people that are going, like I said, they're robbing banks, jewelry stores, they're killing people, they're just carrying on cranky. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's a police officer that is secretly taking, his superior doesn't know about it at first, but he's using the pills to try to stop this super villain crime wave, which is what it is, the super villain crime wave that's infesting the city, which is a good way to start off the movie. I mean, this movie, again, as I've said many times, I have an enormous amount of respect for a movie that knows what it is and feels no reason to be anything more than that. There are some people I know, they've complained about this. Well, I would have liked to see more world building, and I would have liked to see more backstory. No, we don't need that.
Right, yeah.
This movie gives you exactly what you need to know to enjoy what you're watching and no more. Now, if they make a sequel, and also, this is one of these movies that if they make a sequel to it, fine. But if they don't, I'm perfectly happy with that too.
But the thing is too, like, I don't know what kind of more world building you'd really want or you'd really need. I mean, because, something like, and this is on my mind because it recently came on Netflix and it's been getting a second look, that is Brightburn, which we talked about a few months back.
Okay.
So it's because there was talk of a sequel at one point, and then it just kind of like that sequel talk just kind of died down. But now the movie's on Netflix. A lot of people are discovering it for the first time, and it's getting a lot of buzz again. So, but that was a movie when we talked about that movie. there's a lot of world building behind it that's done in really subtle ways, especially when you get to the credit scene. But you don't really need that in Project Power. Like, you get all the world building you really need. It's a military contractor. They develop this drug and they're experimenting. I mean, what other world building do you really need?
And listen, I'm one of these people. Whenever people start throwing around stuff like that, I'm like you. I honestly don't know what they want. Oh, well, what do you mean world building?
Yeah.
Do you want a story, or do you, I mean, because to me, I'm like this. If the writers are doing their job, any world building that is necessary is going to come out during the course of the story as we're going through it with the characters.
Right.
I mean, what do you want? Lord of the Rings, where you got a whole complete new language and technology and all that else. Okay, well, that's all fine. But see, that's Lord of the Rings. That you need that world building for that world. Something like this, no, you just need a premise and characters and let's go.
Right. Yeah, you talk Lord of the Rings, you talk Star Wars, you talk the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC Universe, any of those things. These are massive worlds these characters inhabit. So yeah, you do have world building that you need in those worlds. But this is just one little thing that's deviated from the world as we know it.
Yeah, you don't need a whole bunch of world building. And when people talk about characterization, I'm a big believer in having characterization while something is going on, especially in a movie like this. We are not talking about, like a Meryl Streep drama where people sit down and they talk for 15, 20 minutes. Again, it's not that type of movie.
Right.
You need to have something happen. Just like we were talking earlier on. One of the problems I had with the Netflix Marvel series is that you did have 2 or 3 episodes where it was nothing but people just sitting down and we're just talking back and forth.
Yeah.
And you're okay, well, this is all well and good, but could something be going on? Because this is a superhero movie.
Right, exactly.
There's supposed to be something happening.
Well, I mean, beyond that, this is basically just a cop drama with superpowers. That's basically what it is. And
that's all it is.
And you get all the characterization you need for those two characters. Like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's a cop who's trying to get rid of the drug. Jamie Foxx, he was one of these test subjects who's trying to get his daughter back because they kidnapped her. That's their motivation. That's what's driving them in these movies. That's all you really need for them. And then you get more stuff you get other stuff in there, like, the whole irony of Joseph Levitt using these powers, Frank using these powers in order to stop people from using the powers.
Yeah.
Same thing with Art. He was one of these test subjects, and he doesn't seem to care so much about getting rid of the drug. He's just all he wants is to get his daughter back. He doesn't really care about what happens to everybody else.
And I like the ambiguity of the characters when we first meet, because we're not really sure when we meet them if they're exactly on the up and up.
Right.
Or if they're, because there's a while there, you're not sure if Jamie Foxx is looking for his daughter for him or for this organization. You're kind of not sure of his motivation and why he's doing it. Gordon-Levitt, you're not sure about his motivation for why he's doing what he's doing until we see him have the confrontation with his superior officer. And then we finally say, okay, now we know what side he's on.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx, it takes us a little while longer, and then we say, okay, now we know what side he's on. And, okay, now we can go ahead.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job playing with that aspect of it. Like, are you sure you could really trust? I thought usually when that happens in these kinds of movies, it is kind of handled in kind of a ham-fisted way. But in this movie, I thought they struck a really nice balance, right? They gave you just enough to make you suspicious, but they didn't hammer it over your head.
Right. Yeah. Because for a while there, like you said, and you're not sure, if you should be trusting these guys. Even Robin, when she says to Gordon-Levitt, she says to him, she said, well, are you a cop or are you a customer?
Right. Yeah.
She's not even sure, which side of the fence he's on, which I really liked that they kept us off balance for a while, that we didn't know, okay, should we be trusting these guys or what? Robin is the only one that we know that we can trust, because we are firmly put in her head, like when she goes to school and her home life. So we know where she's coming from. We know her motivations. We know what she's doing and why she's doing it. But these two guys, for a while there, we're giving them the side eye because we're not too sure. Because of course there is a natural inclination to trust Jamie Foxx and Gordon-Levitt because they usually play heroes.
Right. Yeah.
But they do enough hinky stuff at first that you're saying, I'm not sure here, So it kept my interest. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I said, okay, well, you know what? I want to follow these guys just to see, how they turn out.
Yeah. Well, another thing too is when people talk about the characterization is that I think those people aren't really getting that. Again, Frank and Art aren't the main characters. Robin's the main character, and she gets a shit ton of characterization.
Oh yeah. There's a lot. They do a lot with her, and the more the movie goes on, the more we see things from her point of view.
Yeah, and she's an amazing young actress. Like I've never seen her in anything else before. Oh wait, no, she was in The Hate U Give, so I did see her in something else before. I don't remember her in that. I don't remember her character that much. I think she was just a small part, but she was amazing in that movie. She was amazing in this movie.
And when we watched this movie, a couple of weeks before that, we had watched also on Netflix an utterly wretched movie called, what was it, Coffee and Kareem, with one of the most foul-mouthed, vile child actors it has been my misfortune to watch in a movie in a long time. I mean, the things that they have this child do in a movie, say in doing this movie, shouldn't, really, just shouldn't. You shouldn't make a child say and do those things. Somebody that's underage, you really don't. That was a vile, reprehensible movie. Then you watch this and you see a child actor who actually does know how to act and is given a role to play and given a character to play and not given a blatantly horrendous stereotype that, is so offensive on so many levels. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's 20% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is, and I have no idea why Taraji P. Henson and what is it, that guy from The Office, they're in this movie, Ed Helms, because they're good. I mean, Taraji P. Henson is great. Ed Helms is good.
Yeah.
I didn't care for him too much in The Office, but everything else I've seen them in, I like. What possessed them to be in this movie? Because they certainly didn't need the money.
Yeah.
Or maybe they did. I don't know. All I'm just saying that it was a perfectly vile movie. But the actress in this movie is refreshing to watch because, like I said, she's actually given a character to play.
Yes. Yeah.
And this movie made up for that other one. Which, folks, if you haven't seen it yet, please don't watch that thing. You should not subject yourself to that. I don't care how much you love Taraji P. Henson or Ed Helms. Do not watch this movie, that movie under any circumstance. Watch this one.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you told me that because just judging from the premise and the poster, this is probably a movie I would have given a shot. So now hearing that, I know not to waste my time.
I mean, listen, if you got nothing else to do and if you just want to watch, because you know how sometimes you watch a movie just to see, well, you know what, it can't be as bad as, Eric says it is, because sometimes I'll do that. You'll tell me about it bad or somebody else. I say, you know what, let me watch it and see if it's as bad as they say it. And then after about a half hour, so I turn it off, I say, yep, they were right. It is that bad.
I'm having trouble thinking about it now, but there was one movie that was like that. Everybody said it was terrible. And I watched it. I'm like, oh, that's not so bad, actually. Because everybody had built it up in my mind to be so bad.
Oh, well, sometimes you do that. There are movies that I know people have said it's terrible. I watch it and I say, you know what? It's not that bad. And then there are other movies that people build it up and I watch it and I say, really? It wasn't all.
Well, a lot of the movies we talked about here, like there are a lot of people who would say that, oh, those movies are terrible. Like, going back to Swamp Thing or Nick Fury and we watch them like, actually, no, there's a lot of good stuff in there. Or Batman and Robin even.
And you'd be surprised how many people have come back to me and they say, you know what? I watched Nick Fury and you were right. It wasn't that bad. No, it's all in the way that you approach it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Which is what I said.
Well, I think something else too is there's a lot of bandwagon jumping in when it comes to like movie fandom and that kind of thing. Where like if enough people will say a movie is bad, and then even people who like it will be afraid to say otherwise. there's a lot of that going on. Like you just gotta everybody trying to fit in with the regular narrative of what is a good movie, what is a bad movie.
See, here's my theory. Okay, you have McDonald's, you have Applebee's, you have Red Lobster, you have Peter Luger's. You got a bunch of different restaurants that you go to depending on what you feel like eating. Sometimes you feel like eating a Big Mac, large fries, and a Coke, right? Other times you feel like going to Red Lobster and sitting down and, you're looking at a menu. It all depends on how you feel. Well, to me, movies are no different.
Oh, absolutely.
You watch a movie based on how you feel, because sometimes you sit down and you say, okay, I feel like watching a James Bond movie. And you watch a James Bond movie. Another time, no, I don't feel like watching James Bond movie. I watch a documentary. Or
hold on one second. I gotta just turn down the heat real quick. I think it's a little bit hot in this room.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
So to me, movies are no different. I think that a problem we have now in movies is that you have people that want movies to fulfill entertainment needs that the movie is not designed to do.
Yeah.
You have a romantic comedy. Romantic comedy is a specific type of movie made to fulfill a specific purpose. You don't watch a romantic comedy and then be mad at it. You know what? You don't get mad at a fork because it's not a screwdriver. A fork is designed to be a fork. I
see people doing this on author forums. They talk about, and a lot of it is crapping on the romance genre of books. A lot of saying like, oh, well, I don't like it. It's I don't like romance because it's so derivative and all this. And if I were writing a romance book, I would do something like, well, the thing is, the audience that reads those books, that's what they want. Like, they're paying to have like a happily ever after ending. And if you're not going to give them that, then they're going to go somewhere else.
To me, it's like watching a Western and then complaining because there's horses and Indians in there.
Exactly.
Well, that's what a Western is designed to do. Western is designed to have horses because it's a Western. Superhero movie, people have superpowers. You know why? Because it's a superhero movie.
One of the most ridiculous reviews I ever got on my superhero novels was someone said, "Oh, these books are," and it was like a negative. It was like a 3-star review, and it said like these books are only for you if you like the Marvel movies. I'm like, yeah, it's a superhero book. What'd you expect?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like you ever made any secret about that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. People now watch a movie and then they get mad because the movie isn't what they want. They say, okay, well, it should have been this, it should have been that, it should have been this. Well, it's not that type of movie.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a movie, like you said, it's a very, very basic plot. Once we get into it, it's a cop movie with superpowers.
Yes.
And once we get into that, and it doesn't even go the way that we think a usual cop movie will go, simply because of the main character, Robin, that we're following.
Yeah.
And the fact that it gradually turns into like a government conspiracy type of thing. I mean, it really is like 2 or 3 different types of movie in one, because we got the superhero stuff, you got the cop drama with Gordon-Levitt, you have the government conspiracy, you have the family drama that comes in there. And in between all of this, you have some pretty good action sequences. I especially like the one where Jamie Foxx was fighting the guy that was on fire, the guy that overdoses on the thing, and
Newt
just like turns into the Human Torch. I'm talking about the Jim Hammond Human Torch, who was really nuclear, and he's trying to fight this guy. That was a great scene. That was a good action sequence. They spent money on this one. That was good.
All right. I think we're probably going to have to wrap this up because Helena's just not having it today.
Oh, listen. Quite all right. I'm glad that we got in, to tell people about this movie. If you haven't seen already, and know what, probably a lot of people really haven't seen this movie because I really didn't hear a lot of buzz about this.
No, I mean, I was kind of surprised when I just saw it on Netflix one day, and I'm like, how come it's got Jamie Foxx, it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I'm surprised I didn't hear anything about it.
I did not hear anything. Like I said, Patricia told me about it. I said, really? She said, yeah. She was surprised. She was surprised I hadn't heard about it.
Mm-hmm. There are two quick things I wanted to mention though. One is I think one of my favorite scene in the movie is when Frank breaks into Robin's house and sneaks in through the bathroom and pretends to be her mom's boyfriend.
Her mom's boyfriend, yeah.
that should have, and then afterwards she's like, "Who the hell are you?"
Yeah. But no, she goes with it if you notice.
Yeah,
she very quickly catches on and says, "Okay, yeah." She goes with it.
But I did like that. Like even after the cops leave, like they don't. Like she's still like, who the hell are you? But they don't spend so much time dwelling on it, right? She just kind of like moves on with it. She's like, okay, well, this is the situation. Let's move on then.
Yeah. I mean, and he goes back and forth between comedy and action so well. There's like a scene like at the beginning of the movie where he's confronting like a guy that's about to take the power pill. And he's talking him out of doing it.
And he's doing his Clint Eastwood impression.
Clint Eastwood thing. And he does it so well. And then, it's kind of, he's serious, but there's this little fine line of comedy that he knows how to work in so well. He's really very good. I like him a lot. But I always like him.
Well, it's not because you don't get to, because the people probably forget that he got started in comedy, right? He was on Third Rock from the Sun.
Third Rock from the Sun, yeah.
And so it is nice to see him get to tap back into that side of his abilities because he's a really funny guy.
As a matter of fact, nobody even thought he had the action hero thing until they saw him in Inception.
Or for me, it was Brick. When I saw him in Brick, I'm like, okay.
Oh, Brick was brilliant.
Yes, yeah.
Brick is an absolute brilliant movie. And when anybody ever asks me, okay, what movie his should I say? I always say, yeah, Brick.
Exactly, yeah. Brick. Well, because that's the one a lot of people probably don't know about.
Because once you get into the rhythm of the language and you understand what they're doing, that is 1940s Raymond Chandler in a high school, once you get into that and you get into like, oh man, that's a movie I could watch every day.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to quickly mention is I like how they touch on these little things like the government using black experimentation because it's in New Orleans. So and so it's the aftermath of Katrina and all that. They're dealing with that and taking it back to like the Tuskegee syphilis experiments and all that kind of thing that's worked into in the background. I really like that they touched on those. They didn't quite do a whole, like they touch on these things. They don't quite use a whole lot with it, but I did like that they found real world basis for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like you said, they don't beat you over the head with it, but they provide, which again, like we were talking about, when people talk about, oh, there's not enough world building. Well, that's world building right there.
Right, yeah.
It's touching on a real life thing that happened to show you, the logical extension. Well, you know what? This is still going on.
Right, exactly.
It was good. All right.
Okay. All right. So that does it for this week. Check out Project Power. It's on Netflix. So it's not a great movie. I wouldn't say it's something that you have to watch, but it's entertaining enough.
It's a good, like I said earlier, it's a good B movie with an A cast, A special effects, perfect for a Saturday afternoon.
Yes, exactly.
Watch it. Save this for a Saturday afternoon. You're gonna enjoy it. Trust me. I liked it. Like I said, I was not a big Jamie Foxx fan, but I would recommend this. To it's what? It's good to see him do something once in a while where he's really not trying to win an Academy Award or anything like that. You don't have to knock it out of the park. Every time you do a movie. Sometimes
that's another thing too. Is like my wife was surprised, and I told her he started out as a comedian.
Yeah,
and she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. He was. That's how I like. So when he was in Living Color, in Living Color, yeah.
In Living Color, yeah.
And so that was how I got introduced to him through In Living Color. Same thing with Jim Carrey and the Wayans brothers and all them. I came to them through In Living Color.
And then he had his own. He had a sitcom.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Jamie Foxx show.
Jamie Foxx show. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, he started out in comedy, and
then it wasn't until I think it was Collateral was the first really dramatic thing he did.
Yeah. And then, of course, he went on to win the Academy Award for Ray.
Right, yes.
And he's done quite a few other, Miami Vice.
Miami Vice, yeah.
Yeah.
Although he wasn't really a big presence in Miami Vice.
Yeah, I didn't care for that movie.
Yeah, it was okay, but it was just very slow.
Miami Vice is the type of movie that I watch it, and 10 minutes after the end credits have rolled, if you ask me what it's about, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that movie that sticks to me.
Yeah, I think I would like it more if not for the fact that Michael Mann directed it. I was expecting a whole lot better from Michael Mann.
I think what Michael Mann should have did, he should have did the movie in period, like the TV show, because if you're a fan of the TV show, that's what you're coming to see.
Right, yeah.
You know, the movie version was just way too generic. It could have been any.
It was, yeah.
You know, it didn't have to be Miami Vice. It was too generic. Yeah. If he was going to do it, he should have did it in period, you know, back during the bad old days of the drug wars and you know, pastel colors and you know,
and the rolled up sleeves.
Yeah, right. All of that shit, because fans of the TV show that went to see it, and they said, what is this shit?
Well, I mean, that's why, you know, Grand Theft Auto Vice City was so popular, because it totally tapped into that aesthetic.
That was more Miami Vice.
Oh yeah,
Miami Vice.
Absolutely, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, Project Power, good enough, entertaining to watch for Saturday afternoon. Not going to win any awards, not going to be on anybody's top 10 list, but it's entertaining enough.
Absolutely. It does its job.
Yes, yeah.
Get you some snacks, clear some time, sit back and enjoy. It gets my recommendation. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it an 8.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good recommendation. Okay, so that does it for so Project Power was my pick off of your list of black superhero movies. So that means tossing it back to you for next week.
Hey, you know what I'm going to say, right?
I'm dreading what you're going to say.
What I've been threatening for so long.
Oh.
Folks, come back next week. We're going to do Steel.
Oh, God, he said it. Okay, so thank you for watching the Superhero Cinephiles. This is our last episode ever. Oh, all right.
You only know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because we joke about it for so long. And I say, you know what? If we do it, then now I got to find a new running gag.
Yeah.
I've drawn this one out for too long. So if we do it and get it out of the way, then I got to find a new running gag.
Okay.
And also because I'm sick and tired of seeing Shaquille O'Neal hawking every damn thing on my TV. So this is my way of getting back at it.
All right. So join us next week when we will be talking about Steel. Unfortunately. Until then, superherocinephiles.com is our website. Head on over to Facebook. Superhero Cinephiles is the name of the group. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Super Cinema Pod. And yeah, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Thank you. Good night. God bless.
Thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at superherocinephiles.com and remember to subscribe to watch more of our videos.